All right. We are back now for yet another edition of the Sharn streams because we all know that, super pumped for this. I mean, I can't. I've been dreaming of this day ever since I joined in 2009. I got into Eberron in a huge way. I mean, when I first saw it, I was all like, what's Eberron? I'm like, what's a big deal, right? And then I started getting the source books. I've got a couple of the hardback source books in my room, and I was just blown away about how really good the idea was. And I know it was part of a competition, and the loser was Rich Berlin. And I'm a big fan of Order of the Stick. Either one of those would have been great. Although, I mean, for me, I would like to see an Order of the Stick. Maybe not a MMO, but it would be cute to have an Order of the Stick platformer, certainly. But the winner, and most rightly so. I mean, as much as I love Order of the Stick and its humor and whatnot, Eberron was simply was the clear winner. And that's because of its sheer sense of adventure. We always had the idea of Dungeons and Dragons of being a party, and there's all the whole things where it starts off as the Fellowship of the Ring and it ends up as Monty Python's and the Holy Grail. And I get that and whatnot. But what I thought Eberron did well was it allowed the adventures to be condensed, and rather than being these huge things where you had 6 or 9 people, you really had these tight Indiana Jones style adventures. And I just rewatched the entire series, and I'm one of the few people that I think didn't mind Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I thought really the knock on it was not the fridge scene. I don't think that was any more or less sillier than a lot of things in Indiana Jones. What I was disappointed was at the end of it was the fact that Indiana Jones didn't thwart the bad guys by knowing that one thing. It was just all like, we're not supposed to be there. Whereas he knew not to look at the Ark of the Covenant. He knew that the chalice was going to be humble. He knew that the stones of Shiva would burn those with evil intent. In the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, however, at the end, it merely is like, aliens make me scared. And I didn't think that really fit in, But getting back to Eberron really back, this is the background. What we're dealing with here today is something I think that's going to even enhance that inside the MMO. And that is Heroes and Magic. Because if they do this right, this is really going to be huge, and especially for Kenneth crafting and artificers. Because what hoping they're setting up is finally what people have been clamoring for a long time. A social zone and maybe an adventure zone where we can use, since it is linked to Cyrenia. It is in the manifest zone of Cyrenia. So it's perfectly plausible. We're going to use the fly spell. Can you imagine, maybe if you don't have the materials or whatnot, and you've got to work up to it, you might have to, climb a lot of ladders and whatnot. It might be a little bit hard, or maybe you'll have to spend some money at an NPC. But let's talk about straight away right here with the benefit. It says, or it's part of a feat. Let's see, improved flight item creation. You have learned to make use of the manifest zone and Sharn to craft magic items that grant superior flight. So you can create, or maybe find, or maybe earn, or maybe buy from somebody who can craft them, a pair of wing boots that grant fly speed of 90 feet and can be used continuously as long as they are used within Sharn. And we'll have you'll be able, as long as you're in Sharn, primary requisite be in Sharn Adventure Zone, you will be able to fly between towers. I think that would be so cool. A flying carpet. Maybe that's something that you won't be able to use, but maybe they'll be available like the in Caneth, the elevators, the platforms, the moving platforms, so you can move from side to side. I really think this is going to give them an opportunity to really kind of once again like make this big splash with uh, with Dungeons and Dragons Online again. With Ravenloft, it was more of a closed circuit, and certainly Forgotten Realms draws in people because Forgotten Realms is the big name. But I think by going into Sharn and being able to put in these effects, they're going to allow it to really blow up, interest in the game because it's going to be a mechanic you really can't get anywhere else. And while it would be neat for this with a calf construct feat, so you can make like a super flying arty dog, I don't think it'll put that in. But improved flight item as one of his artificer bonus feats, and it's good that artificers do get bonus feats. I still think they need to put in more bonus feats for certain classes, but you know. Swarm's Embrace I don't see as being a big thing because, in all honesty, we don't have a lot of swarm items. Or swarm mobs. I can't think of any offhand. And I don't really see how it would be implemented. I mean, I think it would be hard to do a check for against this monster type, reduce the damage by X. Alright, let's get down to the equipment. Merchants and travelers of all nations pass through Sharn. As a result, many unusual items and substances are available in the markets of Sharn, either legally or in the shadows. This will be good because you can imagine this being Zendrick, but being more pricey. And since I see Sharn as being a more of a top level zone, now I'm sure they're going to put in heroic stuff. But since it's a top level zone, I can see you buying it in Sharn and taking it back to Zendrick. So some of the things you can buy are Elias Tonic, which is basically it's an anti-poison potion. That's no big deal. Dark Eye is the same thing. It's just stronger. It would be good for one of these to have maybe a very limited effect, maybe no more than 3 minutes of actually giving us back immunity to poisons. That would be really nice. I know of at least one person who would buy them and drink them constantly, and it would be a horrific plat sink. And I can really see that heart flow is not, in this game, I mean, I'm sure there are role players that do that, but we don't need on a regular basis, basically, Eberron Viagra. Yeah. We are not needing that. Alright, so next we have goods, and the first one's Klebecker Glamour Weave. Let's see. It is basically very, very, very nice clothing. It's meant to be, it's like wearing some Versace or some Gucci. And it gives you Diplo. I can see them doing this as maybe an in-store bought or a favor granted new cosmetic. Hey, as we're going to find out tonight on Bard Life, I love the cosmetics, so I can do that. A House Severus notarized document blank. Well, that's always great. For forgery. Ooh, let's take a look at the picture. Wow. Oh, I forgot to turn off my text. I'm so sorry. There we go. No big deal. It's just getting a little in the way. I love the artwork that they got for Keith Baker's books. These are really, really cool. Obviously, this Warforged has cheesed somebody off. It looks like he's trying to make it final standard. Maybe he's an artificer and he has his flying boots, and he's going to jump off and just kind of fly away. That'd be cool. The blank Severus document, I can kind of see it being a big thing in maybe a quest or two, where you need to, like somebody's in trouble and they're against House Severus, and they're not going to help you with it, and you're going to need to get a blank one from heir of the house that maybe needs a little bit of something to get him through, Potion Bracer. Yes! Yes! You know what this means? Because somebody was talking about this. I can't swear it was somebody official, but I know that there was a lot of talk going on about basically an ingredient bag for potions. And it would be called the Potion Bracer. That would be really, really, really great. And it might not work this way. A Potion Bracer is a leather band reinforced with strips of steel with slots for 3 potion vials. Worn on the forearm, it allows instant hand-free access to these potions. So, like you're fighting, like quick quaff, right? It's a standard action, not a deluxe action. But, like I said, this could be a real easy way for them to put in, my wife who plays a monk and really has the meta game down really awesomely. I don't joke about that. She's a much better player than I am. And she would love to have her whole host of potions. I mean, literally, she's got all of them. All of them. And having them all in one bag where she could still use them, put them on her hotbars or whatnot, that would be, I guarantee you, Standing Stone Games, you would have a friend for life if you did that. That would be so awesome. Even I have a couple of characters that, especially my barbarian, kind of depend on potions since I couldn't give him any UMD. So, a resilient document. Yeah, this is mean for like a quest item. Basically, it's a fireproof book. We don't really have this for the person that, like I said, right here they say a resilient book, such as a wizard's spell book. That's not something we really deal with. The wizard's spell book is an integral part of the character. I ain't really seeing this really being even a quest item. At least not by name. Obviously, whenever we find books and we've cast Wall of Fire on them to get rid of the mobs guarding them, they're probably resilient documents. But, that being said, it's not a thing that we're going to need by name, unlike the blank Civis document, because that's something that we kind of need to pull in. Cats have really messed up my thing, I see. Alright. Drugs. Yeah, probably not going to be in there. Now, I don't even really see him putting them in as quest items, just because, the game's kind of PG. We have a little bit of alcohol usage, maybe it's PG-13, but, drugs take it to the next step. And I get it, Eberron's a more adult setting, but this is something that really doesn't come into play. Now, the first one, though, I could see used as a quest item, Absentia. It's a good way to erase short-term memories, and it's listed as addiction negligible. Maybe a quest item. The rest of them I just don't see happening. Dragon's Blood enhances magical ability of dragon marks. We already have Dragon's Blood in the game, but it's not listed as a drug. It's used for swapping spells, I think, right? For sorcerers. I don't see them adding anything to that. And then Dream Lily is basically morphine. All right. Some of the services available in Sharn are described below. Hireling, barrister. Now, I imagine this would be a hireling that would be able to interact with NPCs, so you could pass, linguistics checks and everything. Really, seriously, who? Yes, I'm going on an adventure with my lawyer. Yeah, that's not going to be a big draw. House Kandaric heir with the least mark of warding can use a pair of gloves. Basically, maybe an improved, maybe finally a heroic rogue hireling that you don't have to spend shards on. Get Kandaric favor. Have access to the Kandaric. Yeah. Probably a lot of quests that might have them in there as NPCs too. Yeah. All right, prestige classes. All right. So there are 3 prestige classes: the Kenneth Wand Adept, the Citadel Elite, and the Sharn Sky Mage. The Kenneth Wand Adept is an artificer or other spellcaster who follows that principle to its logical conclusion, as it applies to wands. The Wand Adept's knowledge bears tremendous practical fruit. She learns to identify the spell stored, to draw wands quickly and activate 2 wands at once. Now, what I would like to see here is finally a mechanic that allows wands in the hands of somebody who's taken this feat or a tree or whatever it will be, and really break all their DCs, break all their minimum levels, break all their caps, because I don't see that as a problem. Since they only have limited charges, and it could become a plat sync or even an astral shard sync, I think it would be a good idea for somebody who wants to specialize in this to be able to cast level 30 Fireball all they want. Because right now, wands really do suffer from kind of a cheapness or past their minimum level. By the time you can use them, within 1 or 2 levels, they're already worthless. Clickies are a lot better because artificers can add to them. My artificers love their 20-minute death ward from the visor of the Flesh Rider Guards. Good job. But wands, other than retaining charges, wands still are, and it would be good that maybe if, because most of my artificers say specialize in lightning spells, but what happens when I come across things that are resistance or, God forbid, immune to lightning spells? I don't have the slots to put them in there. I might not have, usually I fall back on rune arms, but it would be great for me to swap out if my sword, because maybe my sword is basically a magnetism item, and then be able to use a wand in its place and be casting level 30 Ice Storm or level 30 Fireball. Awesome. I would love that. One quick draw, dual one use. That'd be cool. Fire and an ice storm, fireball, just or level 30 web. That would be great. Level 30 web and level 30 ice storm. Little CC, you know, that'd be great. Siphon charge. Hey, I just read this. I would love that. That way you got like you've got two wands, and one has 18 charges and one has 12 charges, and you can mash them together and get 30 charges. Rather than carrying two wands all the time. It'd have to be the same, but all right. The Citadel Elite. They are the guard. They operate as for the King and Crown of Braylon. These are really an elite group. They started out as spies and scouts, but have grown to be, basically like a Praetorian Guard. These are the king's own personal guard. I'm trying to come up with a really good analogy, and the one I'm coming up with is the way the musketeers were always portrayed in Dumas's books, where yes, they were a army unit, but they would, regularly, the elite of the elite would be then separated to go do, go out and do the king's charge and operate as investigators, as diplomats, as spies. So if you really have that musketeer type idea, a Citadel Elite line might be good for you. And these are really good. When you look at that, additional action points, so say you take the Citadel Elite feat, maybe it'd be an elite, maybe it'd be a feat, and you would get, maybe one or two action points, or maybe you would get, maybe even, maybe they could make this into a separate Epic Destiny too. I don't know. I think people might get upset though if all the Epic Destinies went from 3 to 4. I don't know. I know I finally, I've slowed down a bit with my own Epic Destiny grinding, and so it's. I can usually get an Epic Destiny done in about 3 days, so 3 times 12, that's 30. That's a month. That's a month. So I can see why adding on basically a whole extra week and a half would upset people. But I don't know. Maybe they could make it so you can replace an Epic Destiny with one of these so maybe the Epic Destinies at the choke points would be multi-selectors. You would take Grandmaster of Flowers, or you would take. And that would make the martial one completely. But the martial one is also probably the most flexible one too. So, and Lord knows there are a lot of people out there that would gladly sacrifice having to grind Grandmaster of Flowers for literally anything else. Unless you're a monk, in which case you would gladly change out all the 11 for basically anything else, except maybe Unyielding Sentinel, because that's really good. Part spy, part inquisitive, and part soldier, the elite agent serves crown and country with his heart and soul. He might have had the training of a rogue, a fighter, or a wizard, or a sorcerer, but he has been forged by the Citadel to rise to the top of this extraordinary institution. And, well, scrolling down, we see that maybe the Musketeer idea was spot on. That basically looks like a musketeer in heavy armor. Yeah, so, right. I love not reading things in advance and trying to pick this out. Now, admittedly, with Rich Burlew, I'm horrible at it. But me and Keith Baker seem to be pretty. I can usually pretty much figure out where Keith's getting his ideas from. Or it could be one of those sub races. Just read that with the bonus feats and anything. Like the new Wood Elves, maybe we'll have like the Breland Elite human. I don't think I would want it as an iconic because we already have an iconic human. We have an iconic human and an iconic elf. 2 iconic humans. We know more humans though. Not quite to kill all humans, but now 4, right? Then we got that too. Immediately the third. And then we got the yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I would go with a human sub race, I think. The Sharn. Yeah. The Sharn Sky Mage. By studying the properties of the manifest zone and learning its intricacies and methods for manipulating it, a spellcaster can improve her magical or natural ability to fly. And so, divine. Where'd it go? I know I read it. Oh, there it is. Some clerics, particularly those devoted to Kol Karan and the Traveler, would fly as a domain spell, and druids who can wild shape into flying forms, maybe something other than wolf and bear, maybe in Sharn zones only you can transform into a falcon or an owl. Or the most powerful of all the birds, the sparrow. If I could have a sparrow druid, I totally would. I would. So this is mostly flying people. I could see that as an NPC, but I think this would be really hard to implement. I can see it being a boost to like air mages or lightning artificers or especially druids. They seem to have a lot of lightning spells too. Right now, I can understand that many of you right now are hoping that armor appears as a cosmetic or as loot gen inside the actual game on release. Like I said, good art. I can, yeah. So it could be something you can take and then you get some bonus spells, natural spells, SLAs. Other prestigious classes for Sharn. Various DVD supplements introduce prestige classes appropriate for Eberron campaigns based in Sharn. The player should consult with her DM. Love that. Thank you, Keith. Before choosing a prestige class from the following list, because the flavor of the prestige class may need some tweaking to make it fit for a Sharn-based campaign. So, the Complete Adventurer. Most of these we kind of do see in the form of our level 27, 29 feats. I know one of them is mainly pick your arcane one. I would like to see them add feats to that so you can pick like how do I want to maybe armor training or skill boosts or something. Complete arcane. All right, let's read about the urban adept. Sorry about that. The adept class in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which we're talking about the original, is most appropriate for savage humanoids in tiny villages. Places and cultures where the opportunity for formal magical training as a cleric or a wizard simply isn't available. The adepts found in Sharn, 2,000 of them, generally do not fall into this category. Adepts among the towers are urban adepts with the same level of spell progression for the unique spell list. These adepts work as healers in House Juraska's houses of healing, as fortune tellers, and as alchemists. Some of them are religious adepts, as described in the Eberron campaign setting, adding the spells from the cleric domain to the spell list as presented below. Urban adepts choose their spells from the following list. So you can create water, cure minor wounds, detect magic, detect poison, guidance, light, mending, purified food and drink, read magic or resistance. So most of this is not really something that's adding to it, but I can see them being added as maybe an urban adept tree where you get a lot of this, where it would be like a lot of SLAs, a lot. But most of these are just normal ones. I don't see. Well, dream's a little odd. I would have to look that up. I don't know what that is. Commune either. The one thing, yeah, right there on level 3, clairvoyance. What I would like to see is like in some dungeons, you can kind of use your highlight item to kind of see through walls. So I know there are some walls that the engine still kind of registers as transparent. I would kind of like to see that so that where you can like track mobs, because in this day of hyper aggro, it would be kind of know that if I shoot that one guy down there, 50 other mobs that are hiding just on the other side of that corner are not going to come running down the corridor to kick my butt. Magic is in magic. Sharn is located in a Manifest zone linked to the plane of Serania. So there are going to be some spells that are going to be unique to Sharn. Let's see. Arcane Seal, we don't know. Close secret door. Relock the door to make sure they can't come through. Well, I can say that sometimes they can break locked doors. I'm not too keen on that. So, Force Hammer. We can already have that. We have Chaos Hammer. Shockwave. Using a fireball in a crowded city street places innocent as at risk. That's half the fun. A shockwave spell creates a burst of concussive force that disorientates victims without causing any permanent damage. Okay, so I would actually like to see this. What I would like to see this is it's like rare in sound bursts where there's a damage component. This would be strictly CC, and it would have a very high DC, because right now some of the mobs are some of the level. It's really hard to get your DCs up to the fact where you're reliably getting 50% on some CCs. So I would like to see this pump with the DCs pumped way up with no damage component. Maybe a limited time on the CC. Maybe not even helpless. But just a limited time on the CC where damage breaks, of course. That way you don't get, your cleave fighter doesn't have a free time on it. Or if it's not, more limited to what we're used to, where it's like indefinite until they make a save, maybe. Certainly I wouldn't say anything more than 18 seconds, but 6 or 12 would be fine. As long as the cooldown isn't ridiculous, like 3 minutes or anything. Where'd it go? There it is. Somebody wanted to know if I wanted to run the Slaver's Quest. No, I'm streaming. Magic items. Greater Dragon Shard focus items. Gloves of the Locksmith. I don't know if they could do that, actually, though. Link items to actual dragon marks to make them better, where you can use them if ordinary items, but they get something special if you have the dragon mark. I would like to see it. That'd be neat. But that might be too much coding for the engine to handle. Wondrous items. Now we know about the big wondrous items nerf of a couple of things back, and I have a couple actually on Pfeiffer in storage that I saved. But once again, most of these are really kind of more linked to quest items. Featherfall Talisman, we already got that. We're not going to be building things, I hope. Although with Minecraft and that, what's that game? 2 weeks. That 2 weeks game has building in it. We've got lifts. Pendant of Misting Warning. We have the Glove of Invulnerabilities and whatnot. Powder of Silent Passage. Now this would be neat. I would like to actually see this in the game where if they could find a way to do it. They'd have to find a way, but maybe a 2-minute invulnerability to traps or something, or huge like DR to traps. Shift weave, it's just basically a really nice clothing that helps your hide or whatnot. Source lead, well, I can see that being a quest item too, where we kind of already have them now. When we do White Plume Mountain quest, the jump puzzle, which my wife is going to hate, loathe. We're going to see that a little bit tonight. Voluminous vault, yes. It's bigger on the inside. A watch lamp. Please bring us back Archons that actually glow. That would be cool. Artifacts. Sharn is onto some significant artifacts. So these are all quest items, guys. The Cauldron of Boldray is a large copper cauldron with a handle in the shape of an arched copper dragon. At sunrise every day, it fills to the rim with a warm, thick gray sludge. The substance tastes horrible, but it doesn't take much to provide a character with the nutritional benefits of a full meal and a flagon of water. The Cauldron of Everlasting School Cafeteria Soup. As the Mark of the Silver Flame knew he was in trouble the moment he stepped into the alley. It wasn't the four shifters who were shouting and clawing and trying to choke their life out of him with a chain. No, the paladin had gotten out of worse situations. What bothered him was the creature watching the battle and whispering to the shifters. It meant there was more to this encounter than a simple street fight. Well, that brings us to Monsters and Encounters, which is where we'll pick up next week. This was a little bit light on information, but we did see quite a bit of things that would really interest people in terms of, where we're going to see quests and what the MacGuffins are going to be in the quests and whatnot. At the beginning, there was some really good things that might imply that in Sharn we're going to see like mechanics that we've always wanted to see before. And there has certainly been room for things that we can see added into EDs, made into EDs, feats, spells, just really a lot of wondrous things that, if they can get it done, would be fantastic to see. So, once again, next week we will probably kind of buzz through Monsters Encounters. I do not see a lot of stuff in here that's going to be really kind of grabbing our attention. Because most of this is, once again, going to be restricted to what we will play against in the game. Some of it also is like the Arum, we know what the Arum is. Cults of the Dragon Below, we know who they are. Lords of Dust, Dreaming Dark, Emerald Claw. Am I? There, what? We've already gone. I'm not going to go over them. We all know who they are. Urban Monsters, yeah, that's something that's going to be different. Since we're not going to even stop by this, let's go ahead and look at the Cult of the Dragon Below here. There's an Illithid, and I don't know what this is. So let's just buzz down really quick. What's the last chapter? Or is this the last chapter? Yeah, that's the last chapter. So it looks like next week will actually be the last of my Sharn streams, and I really hope that all of you who have been coming in and following this, and those of you who have been going to YouTube and watching it, have enjoyed it. So I look forward to doing this one, maybe two more times for you, and then looking forward to Sharn, City of Towers. Thank you all. Have a good night. Peace and good questing. Join us tonight on Bard Live for my special birthday stream, where we will be giving away 2 100 DDO point codes, 500,000 platinum on Kyber, and maybe even a base edition of the Shadowfell Conspiracy.